2 Samuel chapter 13. And it comes to pass afterward that Absalom, son of David, has a beautiful sister, and her name is Tamar. And Amnon, son of David, loves her. And Amnon has distress, even to become sick, because of his sister Tamar, for she is a virgin, and it is hard in the eyes of Amnon to do anything to her. And Amnon has a friend, and his name is Jonadab, son of Shimeah, David's brother. And Jonadab is a very wise man, and says to him, Why are you thus lean, O king's son, morning by morning? Do you not declare it to me? And Amnon says to him, Tamar, sister of my brother Absalom, I am loving. And Jonadab says to him, Lie down on your bed, and feign yourself sick. And your father has come in to see you, and you have said to him, Please let my sister Tamar come in and give me bread to eat. And she has made the food before my eyes, so that I see it, and have eaten from her hand. And Amnon lies down and feigns himself sick, and the king comes in to see him. And Amnon says to the king, Please let my sister Tamar come, and she makes 2 cakes before my eyes, and I eat from her hand. And David sends to Tamar to the house, saying, Now go to the house of your brother Amnon, and make food for him. And Tamar goes to the house of her brother Amnon, and he is lying down, and she takes the dough and kneads, and makes cakes before his eyes, and cooks the cakes, and takes the frying pan, and pours out before him. And he refuses to eat. And Amnon says, Have everyone go out from me. And everyone goes out from him. And Amnon says to Tamar, Bring the food into the inner chamber, and I eat from your hand. And Tamar takes the cakes that she has made, and brings them to her brother Amnon in the inner chamber. And she brings them near to him to eat. And he lays hold on her, and says to her, Come, lie with me, my sister. And she says to him, No, my brother, do not humble me, for it is not done so in Israel. Do not do this folly. And I, to where do I cause my reproach to go? And you are as one of the fools in Israel. And now please speak to the king, for he does not withhold me from you. And he has not been willing to listen to her voice, and is stronger than she, and humbles her, and lies with her. And Amnon hates her, a very great hatred. That greater is the hatred with which he has hated her, than the love with which he has loved her. And Amnon says to her, Rise, go. And she says to him, Because of the circumstances, this evil is greater than the other that you have done with me, to send me away. And he has not been willing to listen to her, and calls his young man his servant, and says, Now send this one away from me outside, and bolt the door after her. And a long coat is on her, for such upper robes daughters of the king who are virgins put on. And his servant takes her outside, and has bolted the door after her. And Tamar takes ashes for her head, and has torn the long coat that is on her, and puts her hand on her head, and going on and crying. And her brother Absalom says to her, Has your brother Amnon been with you? And now, my sister, keep silent. He is your brother. Do not set your heart to this thing. And Tamar dwells, but desolate, in the house of her brother Absalom. And King David has heard all these things, and it is very displeasing to him. And Absalom has not spoken with Amnon, either evil or good, for Absalom is hating Amnon, because that he humbled his sister Tamar. And it comes to pass, after 2 years of days, that Absalom has shearers in al-Hazor, which is near Ephraim. And Absalom calls for all the sons of the king. And Absalom comes to the king and says, Now behold, your servant has shearers. Please let the king go and his servants with your servant. And the king says to Absalom, No, my son, please let us not all go, and we are not too heavy on you. And he presses on him, and he has not been willing to go, and he blesses him. And Absalom says, If not, please let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king says to him, Why does he go with you? And Absalom urges for him, and he sends Amnon and all the sons of the king with him. And Absalom commands his young men, saying, Now see, when the heart of Amnon is glad with wine, and I have said to you, Strike Amnon, that you have put him to death, do not fear. Is it not because I have commanded you? Be strong indeed, become sons of valor. And the young men of Absalom do to Amnon as Absalom commanded, and all the sons of the king rise, and they ride, each on his mule, and flee. And it comes to pass, they are in the way, and the report has come to David, saying, Absalom has struck all the sons of the king, and there is not left even one of them. And the king rises and tears his garments, and lies on the earth, and all his servants are standing by with torn garments. And Jonadab, son of Shimeah, David's brother, answers and says, Do not let my lord say, The whole of the young men, the sons of the king, they have put to death. For Amnon alone is dead. For it has been appointed by the command of Absalom from the day of his humbling his sister Tamar. And now do not let my lord the king lay the word to his heart, saying, All the sons of the king have died. For Amnon alone is dead. And Absalom flees, and the young man who is watching lifts up his eyes and looks, and behold, many people are coming by the way behind him on the side of the hill. And Jonadab says to the king, Behold, the sons of the king have come, as the word of your servant. So it has been. And it comes to pass at his finishing to speak, that behold, the sons of the king have come, and they lift up their voice and weep. And also the king and all his servants have wept, a very great weeping. And Absalom has fled, and goes to Talmai, son of Ammihud, king of Geshur. And David mourns for his son all the days. And Absalom has fled, and goes to Geshur, and is there for 3 years. And King David determines to go out to Absalom, for he has been comforted for Amnon, for he is dead.